Once in a while, I'd get a special detail. And they pulled me one time for a special detail to pick up the dead. The American dead were the first to be picked up. And believe me, you just can't believe the dead people that are everywhere. We'd fill my truck full of dead GIs and take them down to the cemetery. And today on Memorial Day, you see all the crosses as far as you can see. I'd bring them down to the cemetery because they didn't have the crosses in them days. They hadn't put the crosses out yet. But I'd bring them down to the cemetery, they'd unload them, and I'd go out, get another load, and bring them back. After we had picked up all the GIs around, then I would go and pick up the dead Germans and bring them down to the cemetery. And they would bury them. They would go to the border of taking everything, any information in their pockets, lay it on their chest. They're laying on a cot. They lay any information, their dog tags or anything, the Germans, put it on their chest. And because it's summertime, they decompose fast in the sun. The meat would probably be dropping off the bones, but if they could take and get a fingerprint, they would do that, even to the Germans, and put that on their information so that at some future date, they would know who was, or have a chance of knowing who was buried there. I've seen it so bad, I even felt, I had German prisoners that would pick up the dead bodies and put them in my truck. And I felt so bad for them to pick up these bodies. I allowed them to dig a trench and push it into the trench, put their gun there with their helmet and their tags.
Instead of picking up the bodies, just bury them.
There was nothing that would, they're just falling apart.
It's horrific.
Terrible.
And I would imagine that was the same for, unfortunately, the American.
We'd pick up the Americans if they had to shovel it into the bag.
Whatever. Yeah, I was at the cemetery recently in just outside of Naples, the American War Cemetery, World War II Cemetery. I'll have to talk to you about that later. It was pretty moving. It was very, very solemn. It was hallowed ground. There was no question about it. And the crosses, the white marble crosses, were just amazing. The place was impeccable. And so, I can appreciate what you're saying because I've seen the end effect. And there was nothing is in any particular order. What they said is as the dead were brought in, they were buried. So, it didn't matter your rank or where you were from or what your name was. They're just out there, and they are marked, but you're still, it's not like they put the generals and the majors and the, sergeants. No, everybody was just kind of put out there together. It's pretty amazing to see. I don't know, have you been to any of the World War II cemeteries? Have you seen what they're like now? I don't know if you've seen them with the big marble crosses.
I see them on the TV, what they're like now.
Pretty amazing.
But it's pretty amazing when you see it when it's first happening. So many people, just unreal. During the period of the invasion is when it was people everywhere. I saw one time, and I mention this because this is something that many people don't know about because this is in the 40s. We have modern equipment. We have tanks and bulldozers and guns and all sort of things more than. And I'm at the Glenny's Forest. I'm driving down the road, and there's horse-drawn artillery that had been strafed by our own Air Corps, killed all the horses, and we had to push the guns and everything, horses, off the road to get through. Horse-drawn artillery they were using. They used everything they had, you know. They were.
And that was in the Ardennes Forest?
I think it was.
Were you at the Battle of the Bulge?
Yes, I was in. We were trapped in the Battle of the Bulge. We were surrounded in the Battle of the Bulge. That's when old Blood and Guts came in with his tanks. He saved us.
Patton?
Yes, he saved us. The lieutenant said, "We're going to fight to the finish, to the last man. First man turned his back to run, he said, I'll shoot him."
And business.
That was in the Battle of the Bulge.
What was that like? Because that was 32 days during some pretty bad weather.
I can't remember the weather. All I know is that we were trapped.
How many were there with you?
How many what?
How many were there with you? Was it a whole platoon? Was it a squad?
I think A and B battery, but see, A battery would be in a location here, and B battery would maybe be 500 yards or more away from us. So all I know is that A battery was trapped. I don't know if B battery was there or not. Couldn't see them. You know, they'd be far enough away. And I don't know how big an area it was that we were in that was surrounded. It's pretty hard to tell that stuff. All I know is that we were surrounded. We couldn't go anywhere until Patton came in. And then, you know, I was in the 5 major battles over there. The Battle of the Bulge, the Glenny's Forest. Have no idea what that was like. Anybody that's seen where a tornado came through, that's what the Glenny's Forest looked like. That was one of the largest battles. Terrible.
Yeah, there was almost 200,000 soldiers were killed during that. 180,000, of which 80,000 were Americans and 100,000 were Germans. And that was in 32 days. That was an amazing amount. And those are just the casualties. You know, the people that lived through this, like yourself, you know, I can't thank you enough for being there. And
you know, every day something was going on. Can't remember all this stuff. And you think it's all one continuous. They say the Battle of the Bulge, the Glenny's Forest, the crossing of the Rhine. To me, it was all one thing, all the way through. It was a fighting battle all the way. Didn't matter.
It's because you were there through all of it.
What's that?
Because you were there through all of it. And
all of
you know,
it,
some people only seem to have gotten pieces of it. And I always felt as though that the guys that really deserved a lot of the credit were the guys like you, because you were pushed into all of it. You know, like I talk about the spokes in the wheel, that wheel wouldn't have turned if they didn't have a lot of support. It's the support guys, it's the truck drivers, it's the, you know, the artillery guys. One carries a gun, the other carries the stand. Just an amazing cooperation, I guess.
Yeah, they used to tell who we were supporting, and of course I can't remember that. Who I think, and I don't understand how. I think at one time we supported the 81st Air Corps Division. I don't know how we supported them, because they're up there. But I seem to me I can remember of supporting the 81st. Yeah.
Well, you know, both parties need protection. So even the aircraft need to be protected. And so if you can keep them firing back at you, that'll leave the aircraft be able to come in and do their job. So both parties really do need each other.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting when we started from the Omaha going in. The planes were coming from England. The bombers were going over. It was endless. There were so many bombers going over. I figured that they had to be going back and fueling up and reloading and coming back to make it one continuous thing. There was so many of them. And on a sunny day, after 2 or 3 hours, it started to haze over, get a haze. Wasn't a sunny day anymore because of the bombing and stuff. I used to look up there and see them going over, and they're just going so slow. You know, it don't look like they're going fast. I don't know, they must be, what are they going, 300?
135.
135?
That's right, they were very slow.
Well,
the
they
bombers.
looked like they were going slow, and the Germans used everything they had, and you'd see these little puffs of smoke all around, and you'd see a tail broke off and start coming down, the plane go down, and you'd see men jump out, planes that have been hit with shrapnel and stuff. They'd jump out with their parachute, and I never saw them make it to the ground. The Germans had fighters come in to strafe them in the parachute, and I said, boy, I'm glad I'm not up there, because they're sitting ducks, just going along so slow, and you'd see a wing or a plane go down in pieces, and it was terrible. I remember I talked to Captain Purple.
Yep.
And he said, I looked down on the ground and said, I'm glad I'm not down there.
Yeah, yeah, you said that before too.
Yeah,
Nobody wanted to be either part.
I guess not, no.
Now, when you went to Omaha Beach, I know you mentioned to me before that they didn't recognize things like the Red Cross or, can you elaborate a little bit on that? Do you remember talking about that?
The Red Cross?
Yeah, I think it was the Red Cross that you said that the Germans didn't recognize them, they didn't honor.
Oh, well, you would see dead Americans, and they would have the intravenous in them and everything like that, and they have a Red Cross on their helmet because they're medics, and they'd be laying there beside them. They didn't. They just shoot all Americans. That's all. Didn't matter whether they were medics or what they were. That was the invasion. They, you know.
Have you watched any of the like World War II movies that have come out or that are out there? Have you, like, I just wonder what your take is on some of the movies that have been put out there in the past.
No, I don't. I saw enough of it, so I don't care about seeing repeats or something that. No,
Okay.
I very seldom ever watch any of them.
I don't blame you.
No.